What's up, blockchain gang? Today we're going to look at 3 radical changes to the MIR4 economy that have recently been announced and are really shaking things up. First, we'll be visited by Trinity, the change of MIR4 past. Next, we'll meet Drain, the change of MIR4 present. And finally, I'll introduce Hydra, the change of MIR4 future. Warning, this is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. I'm not even qualified to operate a forklift. But for some reason, they let me make educational content such as this. The first section of the video will consist of a factual overview of the 3 systems, so feel free to skip ahead if you already know all about them. I'm not just going to read the website or post a reaction video of their YouTube video because that is just low effort in my opinion. Feel free to pause the video and read it if you'd like, or visit the links in the description. Instead, I'm going to try to break some things down so that people from various backgrounds will have a better understanding of what is happening. The next section will be pure speculation and opinion on the systems, and finally, the new strategy I developed to get the most profit and progress out of my game. So let's do it.
Ooh, ah, yeah. Ooh, ah. Oh, don't you know that's the sound of the man working on the chain. One more. Yeah, don't you know that's the sound of the man working on the chain. Gang. Can you even say it? Ooh, ah.
Starting off with Trinity, it's basically a fee that is applied to the smelting of dark steel that is calculated using the total number of Draco and dark steel currently in circulation. As more Draco are smelted, the value of each Draco falls once supply exceeds demand. Trinity attempts to counter this by increasing the amount of dark steel required to smelt each Draco. This protects investors from losing their principal and earners from decreasing wages. This comes at a cost though by decreasing the rate of a player's progression. Dark steel is hereby harder to mine and more expensive in the local market and on the DEX due to this artificial scarcity. Conversely, if the Draco prices start getting too high, the fee will be reduced, so more Draco will be smelted to protect players from abnormally high prices due to market volatility. This means that returns on investments and earnings will be retained but never truly maximized, and the time or money that you put into the game will also better hold its value instead of gradually depreciating over time, which is caused by a combination of inflation and more players quitting than joining the game. It seems like this only works to increase value though. If they wanted to cause inflation because the Draco is overvalued, I don't think Trinity would lower the price of smelting below 100,000 dark steel, so it's obviously prioritizing the investors and earners over the players. Another way to think about it is before Trinity, smelting Draco was like a switch that was flipped on when the servers launched. Trinity takes that switch and turns it into a faucet, where they can control the rate of which Draco flows onto the market like you control the amount of water that comes out of your sink. It is similar to how the Fed manipulates the lending of money with interest rates. Now, Drain, or the Draco Initiative, is Wemade's plan to decrease the total circulating supply of Draco by burning up to 10 million tokens. By taking a portion of Wemix tokens used for marketing, they are placing a buy order at 0.123 Wemix per Draco. Any Draco purchased by them from January 12th through 25th, at that price will be burned, reducing the overall supply. The rate is currently at about 0.15 Wemix per Draco, so if it stays above the purchase price, no additional Draco will be burned, as the order will be canceled on the 25th. If all Draco is purchased, it will result in a reduction of 18% of the circulating supply. Finally, we have Hydra, which has caused for a bunch of speculation. Initially, Hydra was designed as a way to give long-term Draco holders steady profits over time, but has been tweaked into a burning mechanism for Draco in order to prevent bots from harming the economy. Players can combine 20 Draco, pay the Dark Steel Trinity fee, and 1 Septeria in order to create a Hydra coin. Septeria can be obtained through some conquest in-game that has not yet been revealed, or through the ISO, which I will go over later. The cost of Septeria will increase by 1 for every 100,000 Hydra created. It seems like Hydra will also be the medium used between games, as well as the eventual governance token. It will be used as a currency in one of the upcoming auctions, as well as have the ability to be swapped for other tokens. It also says that it will be a tradable asset on the Wemix exchange, but they never say tradable for what exactly. They also specify that once you create a Hydra, you will no longer be able to convert it back into Draco. Like I mentioned earlier, another way to gain Septeria is for players to spend 5 million dark steel in order to receive 100 Septeria. This puts the rate at 50,000 dark steel per Septeria. If you're curious about the spooning terminology, it comes from the term forking, where a blockchain's investors disagree on how a protocol should be changed, which causes it to be split into a completely new cryptocurrency following the new protocol, and it is in competition with the original blockchain. A spooning, on the other hand, is when the code for the blockchain is copied in order to assist or replace the original blockchain. For example, we now have and ETH Classic, but at one time there was just Ethereum. A hacker successfully stole 50 million in Ethereum one day, so to replace the lost money, ETH spooned into a brand new version of itself, which was just a snapshot from back before the hack to create what we now know as ETH today. Which is kind of cool if you think about it, like traveling back in time to prevent the theft from ever happening and making their technology even more secure than if the attack really never did happen in the first place. That was considered a hard spoon, where the account balances of each wallet are carried over onto the new blockchain. Hydra, however, is considered a soft spoon, in that it does not carry over each wallet's balance to the new system and everyone starts from zero instead, while it uses the original token of Draco and an in-game currency that the developers believe will be unobtainable by bots. Now you may be wondering what this all means to the price of Draco or Wemix or Hydra, but the big question on my mind is how will the exchangeability work? I would like to present a few different scenarios on how this could all play out. Imagine that Draco was made to where it was no longer available to be converted into Wemix. The only way to withdraw from the game would be to convert it first into Hydra, which would be one way from preventing the bots from earning it if they can successfully prevent them from completing the conquest for Subterria. Another scenario is that both Hydra and Draco are exchangeable for Wemix. This means that even if bots and miners drive the price down despite the changes from the Trinity fees, players could just buy the low-priced Draco, convert it into Hydra with Subterria, and sell it for a nice profit on the Hydra and Wemix exchange. This would create arbitrage opportunities that would keep the value of Draco and Hydra stable. Finally, what if the only use case for Hydra was to gain Draco for long-term holders, purchase items on the auction block, and swap them with other Wemix game tokens, meaning that there will be no way to convert Hydra directly into Wemix, or Hydra into Draco into Wemix. If that's true, then Hydra will be a burn for Draco, but if someone holds Hydra for 20 months, it actually becomes inflationary as it is now producing more Draco than it has burned in the first place. Keep in mind that I have no idea which of these theories will be correct, or if I'm not even in the right ballpark, but needless to say the outcome should be the same in any situation. An economy that is not ruined by bots. Remember that bots are only here to make money, and if they're unable to make money they will go away, and further intrusive and falsely banning anti-cheat or anti-bot measures will not have to be taken. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the drain. To me it seems like this is Wemade's backup plan. If changes in the EXD market, the new Dark Steel shop, Trinity, and the announcement of Hydra fail to stimulate growth of the economy, at least this buy order will do the job until Hydra can be released. If the goal was to remove a large portion of the supply, they would have just put in a buy order at whatever the market price currently was, instead of setting a bar and refusing to purchase Draco above that price point. The only thing that we can gather from this is that the target price for Draco is probably between $1 and $2. This figure would have been hit purely by speculation, but recent developments in the market as a whole is now trickling down to the GameFi metaverse crypto space sector, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, has greatly devalued the Wemix token. This has not been the only problem with the Wemix ecosystem, with waves of wrongfully banned accounts, persistent bugs, and bots that are upgraded with every maintenance. This can be seen in a recent 10% reduction in the overall number of Draco wallets, which could represent a rather large exodus of players. This could also be made up of players who were only mining Dark Steel and find it no longer profitable to do so because of the Trinity fees. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I know that getting banned or losing money on an investment can be an emotional situation, so please try to remain civil and empathetic to one another. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is my new earning strategy in MIR4. Each time I make a guide or give advice on earning in MIR4, it is quickly patched or nerfed until the point to where the guide isn't nearly as helpful as I intended. I'm not saying the devs are watching my videos trying to fuck me over. I'm just saying that when there's one method of playing the game that earns 5 to 10 times more than any other available methods, it's not that hard to see how damaging it is to the economy. My question is, if myself and thousands of other people can notice this, why didn't the devs or testers notice this, who are the ones who set the values to begin with? Psh, ow! Sorry. Anyway, instead of focusing on one aspect of earning in the game and trying to maximize that, I will focus on a broader approach that is not as susceptible to changes the devs make to the game or economy. I call this a balanced redistribution plan, and it is only recommended for people who want to hold over a period of time in order to gain the highest yield possible regardless of market trends. I'm going to share a link in the description to the Google Sheet I made that tracks the various assets you obtain by playing or investing in MIR4. You won't be able to edit this document, but you will be able to make a copy of it for yourself and then make edits to the one you've saved. How it works is that you enter the currency that you own for each account and update some values such as Wemix, Draco, and the Hydra price in USD. If it is an NFT, how much is it currently valued at in dollars? The cost of gold of 1 million dark steel box in your local market, and the current amount of dark steel required to smelt 1 Draco, any profits you have taken, as well as money you've invested yourself. The sheet will then calculate the total value of all assets and display them as a percentage of your total portfolio worth. You can view individual accounts from the tabs at the bottom. Now the plan here is to keep the portfolio balanced upon which resources you value the most. Personally, I have a goal of 30% NFT, 15% Wemix, 15% Hydra, 15% Draco, 5% gold, 5% dark steel, and 15% profits. This means that if the value of Draco was to increase, it would start to take up a much larger portion than 15%, which is a signal that it's a good time to sell a portion of my Draco and reallocate it to the category that is the most below its target. The NFT is just another way of saying investing into your character's progression in order to increase its value, to be clear. I hope this helps anyone who is confused by any of these new systems, and if you're looking for a way to manage your assets and make a plan for the future, I hope this document is a good starting point. Thank you for watching. I hope we can do this again sometime. I believe in miracles since you came along, you sexy thing.